Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome once again to the Van Buren Variety Show. I am Bob Van Buren, your host, here week after week with an exciting guest and very interesting topics. So, those of you that are tuning in week after week, I appreciate it. Those of you that are just tuning in tonight, newcomers, actually, we love newcomers. So, glad you're here. Hope you see that tonight's episode is going to be great as always. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and we can get further updates on future guests and future topics. So hope you've all had a great week so far. Wherever you are in the world right now, Texas is like baking in the sun right now. I think we hit 108 today. So depending on where you are in the world, I hope it's not that hot unless you're in the Sahara. We'll see. So, if you got any rain wherever you are in America or Canada or the world, we would really appreciate some rain right now in the Lone Star State. So, say a few prayers for us down here before we cook. So, anyway, welcome once again to the Van Buren Variety Show. And just for those of the newcomers, as soon as my light stops blinking in here, there we go. It is a variety show, which means just that. Each week I have an interesting guest on to talk about an interesting topic. Might be a profession, it might be a hobby, it might be some musical entertainment. You never know. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you like tonight's guest, he would really appreciate it if you'd hit that like button as well. And share this video out if you like it too. I have a very, very interesting topic tonight. It's a topic that has not been covered on this show. And it's something that you really don't think about till you see the finished product, and it's called glassblowing. And I got one right here that my grandmother had a long time ago. My mom gave this to her a long, long time ago for a Mother's Day gift. And so look at the details in that. But if you want detail and you want to see professionalism, wait till you see the guest that I have tonight. And I have the privilege of having him on the show tonight. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my guest tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to Clayton Byrd, who's going to tell us and show us all about glassblowing. So, Clayton, welcome to the Van Buren Variety Show.
Thank you for having me, Bob. I really appreciate it. This is something new for me, so y'all will bear with me as we go through this process of showing y'all what I like to do with my spare time. So,
right. So, tell us about glassblowing, just the term itself. What does glassblowing mean?
So, glass blowing is probably going to be a misnomer for what you're going to see me do tonight, because you're not actually going to see me do a whole lot of blowing. What you can look into glass blowing, you can break down into several different categories.
Okay.
One is lamp working, which is what you'll see me doing. That's more of your Venetian style, like your Italian, where they'll make cups, goblets, and vases and things like that of a smaller to a larger structure, but it's all done with hand spun, and it's done with a torch. Okay. Which is what you can see right here in front of me.
Yes.
And then you'll step into what most people think of glass blowing. When they see glass blowing, they think of a long rod that's dipped into a whole hot, molten glass vessel and pulled out, and then blown into to make your structure from that point on. Same concept applies into what I'm doing, but what I'm doing is what I like to call the at-home version. Most people understand that glass is a very hard substance, and it takes a lot of heat to get it to a liquid form. And once it's to a liquid form, you have to keep that heat applied the whole time to keep it there. Well, with mine, I don't have any liquid form. I'm using a hard glass structure, and they come in different kinds.
Okay.
Literally, it'll come in a rod, which is a solid piece, and it'll come in different diameters of rod. It'll come in hollow pieces, which is tubed, and then those come in different diameters as well. And then you get brick, which is broken up pieces. And that is what we would call just fine little pieces of grass broken up. And a lot of that usually is intrigued with color.
Interesting. So wait,
ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you usually use all of these components to build something together. A lot of what you've seen me do in the past, Bob, has all been solid work, so there's really no blowing involved. But a lot of people put glass blowing and lamp working on the same level because it's melting glass, and that's what they understand the concept of.
Understand.
But Yeah, it's completely. I just wish I had the ability to have a 26-gallon vat of molten glass that I could go and dip and play with. That would be a lot of fun, but I'm
Oh,
not quite
wow.
there yet.
Hey, you'll get there, no doubt. My audience will probably want to know what got you interested in glass blowing. When did that start?
So, give me 1 second. I'm gonna kill this compressor so it'll kick
Okay.
off.
We can hear you
You should-
okay, though.
Yeah, it makes it easier for me to hear
We can
you.
still hear you, but that's okay. Yeah, people
Excellent.
probably want to know how did you get interested in glass blowing and how did that start?
So my glass blowing career started as a anniversary gift. My wife sent me to West Magnolia Street over there, and we took a look around. And when we were doing it, I ran into Seneca Studios, and I got I've seen glass blowing as a kid growing up. Not actually a lot of it, just small interactions. And it had always intrigued me what the material was and what they could do and create within the material. And I got a simple Groupon. It was a little 3-hour class. I went and made a
Wow.
paperweight, and I was hooked. It was $60 for my first, and then it was several more dollars after that because I was hooked. But it started with Seneca. I took a little class,
Yeah.
did that, then moved to a 6-week course, which is what I wanted to do and get a little more in depth into the process. And through that process, I learned that this is something I really liked, and I needed to be able to do it. But the only way to do it was to be in Fort Worth and go and do it at their studio, and
Sure.
that wasn't going to work for me. So I got to looking at what I could do on my own by myself, and that's where lamp working came into evolve, because
Sure.
it's a similar process. Now, with lamp working, I work with borosilicate glass. All of this glass is the same kind of glass you're going to find in like a science lab or like a kitchen, like Pyrex. It's actually sturdier than probably what you would find for cooking Pyrex now. All of this stuff is meant to be functional glass, whether it be a breathing tube apparatus or a pie pan. It's meant to take the durability of the use. So it does take a higher heat tolerance. And it takes a little bit more to manipulate it than you would find in the softer glass regions. And that's where you'll find a lot of your marbles and your big structures are made out of a softer glass. It doesn't take as much heat to melt it down.
Oh, wow. Interesting. You say you like it. Like the old adage says, if you like what you're doing, it's really not a job.
It's never work if you're enjoying it. That's the truth. And I joke with people randomly, and this is what I'd like to do when I quit working for somebody else. That's my end goal, would be to do this a little bit more full time. That would be a lot of fun.
That would be good. From what I've seen from your work, though, Clayton, you'll have no problem with that because, ladies and
thank you
gentlemen,
very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, Clayton has sent me some videos of his work, and he's going to narrate the videos, what he's doing, and kind of the process. So look forward to that. I am also going to share right now, ladies and gentlemen, his Instagram site, which I'm going to display on the screen right now. So for those of you with Instagram, or just look at this site real quick. I'll keep it on the screen for a while. If you missed it, you can always look at the recording later. But this is his own Instagram.com site, and you can see all of his work there too as well. Now, Clayton, when I show this work, obviously I know my audience, whether they're watching live or watching later, they're going to want to purchase your work because I know I'm one of them. So if somebody has the question, hey, how do I buy this work, or how do I look at Clayton's work, or how can I purchase Clayton's work? Would it be the Instagram site? Is there another way they can get a hold of you?
So Instagram is the best way to get a hold of me. That's my only social media account. I'll be honest with you. I'm not very good at social media. I tend to spend my downtime in doing something else than managing a social media, and that does hurt me a little bit in the long run. But anything through Instagram, I reply pretty instantly on that. I have a direct line to that, so that's a good way to reach out to me, and I can ship anything. I also do little local events. I usually do a rummage sale in Fort Worth once a month. That's fun.
Really?
The county fair, the county that we live in, has a once a month show that I usually try to attend. It's a county
That's
show,
awesome.
and then there's usually another one or two that come through the year. Like Arts Goggle will be in Fort Worth this year. I'll be trying to do Arts Goggle. I put in my application for that one this year, so that'll be a new process too.
That is awesome. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, if you missed this, don't worry. I will display this again as we go along with the show. So, Clayton, I'll just leave it up to you. Would you like to show something there in the shop right now, or would you want to show the videos?
Yeah,
What would you like to do?
Let's take a look at the shop first and see what glass looks like and what we've got set up.
We're looking forward to it.
We'll do another of the video.
And to the audience watching this live, if you have a question for Clayton, make sure you leave it in the comments. For those of you not watching this live, if you're watching this days, weeks, months later, make sure, and we just lost Clayton, make sure if you're watching this much later and you're not watching this live, you can leave a comment down there for Clayton, and I'll make sure that he sees it. We've lost Clayton, but I think he's coming right back.
I'm right back.
And here he's right back. Okay. We lost you momentarily.
Yeah, that's the good. I splurged this last year and I spray foamed the barn, and it has made an entire difference on my work environment, but it also has worked with my internet connectability. So it's been a learning process.
Hey, that's right. We got you covered, Bubba.
We're going to start with some simple things, just tools around. So realistically, when I do anything glass blowing, the first thing I'm really concerned with more than anything is eye safety. You only get 2 sets. You only got your eyes. Don't mess around. Good glasses are something to really invest in if you ever want to invest into this hobby. So this is my workbench, and we'll start. These are rollers. So this is what I'm using if I'm going to put something on it. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to roll it out so we can see what it looks like.
Okay.
This back here is a little oven. You can actually find this from Amazon. It's called a Golden Hot, and that thing is meant for curling hair. The best review I've ever got was everybody was complaining that it was melting their hair because it was too hot. That little oven will tack glass. So we're talking 700-800 degrees. I have no doubt they were melting their hair every time.
Yeah, that hurts my hair to hear that.
These are just random colorations of glass. So most of the glass you find that has color in it, all of it has a certain metal mixed into it, whether it be blue as cobalt or red as cadmium or silver fuming that you can find on some of these like this. Okay. Those will all give the glass colorations. So you can move over to something smaller, and these are called stringers. And this is just a same thickness of glass and density as this. You've just melted it down, and you've pulled it into a long, thin line to almost a pencil lead thickness.
Okay.
Move over to the tools. I am a bad person about tools. I like tools. They really make me happy. And
I do too.
Some of them are very helpful, and some of them are just really pretty to look at. But I tend to find the ones I use the most is I use just a little thin pencil reamer, a graphite reamer, and then I got a pair of metal shears that I use to cut and a pair of metal picks to pull out the glass with. So those are some of the most commonly used tools that I find in my shop, and a bunch of tweezers. And the nifty thing about this is, like, a lot of my tools did not come from a glass blowing supply house. It came from Harbor Freight. You can get into this and do a lot of work. A lot of really talented artists, they'll travel with a spoon and a knife, and that's what they'll use to do their sculpting with.
Really?
They'll use to do their carving with. Yeah, and they don't have a problem taking that anywhere or finding that tool at any location that they're traveling and doing a glass blowing. So I like that idea of manipulating the tools around you. I use a pair of pliers for a lot of things that I do that have no other meaning, just to make a certain mash because I like the way it makes lips look.
Okay. Wow.
Those are some of the things that I do with. There's the kiln. I didn't show you that. I'll show you that.
Oh, yeah.
Last.
So like the oven, basically?
Yes. This is what the glass goes in when it's hot, and it cools it down to the room temperature. So the videos we showed, these are the finished pieces. They have to go through what they call an annealing cycle. And that cycle means it has to be cooled down in a step process from, we'll say, 1,500 degrees down to 1,000, and then down to 900,
Wow.
and then down to 800. And that helps that glass keep that structure sound about it that it needs. It helps with the cohesion of it.
Wow. Oh, wow. Man, no wonder you can make some of these professional pieces that I've seen.
I'll tell you, Bob, if I knew I was realistically going to be paying attention to what chemistry class had to put in front of me, I would have been paying attention. I tell that to all those kids. I was like, you don't know what you're going to really get into until later. Pay attention to everything, because some of that's going to come back and play. No doubt.
Yeah, I was not good at that. You've seen that proverbial chemistry chart. I never mastered that, so, you know.
I'm still no good at it.
Wow. Can I show the videos now, or do you want to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. Let's
Okay.
show those videos.
I'm not sure what order that they're in, but let me share that with the audience. Let's see. I may hopefully not show them out of order, but
well, both of them are pretty much of the same, but they were just one showed a little prep work and the other one didn't.
okay.
So
Let me just pick one at random, and then we can narrate from there. So let me go ahead and share the screen, and can't wait to see. I know my audience can't wait to see kind of how this works. So let me get that up, and we'll get started. Let's see this. And here we go. Okay.
yeah, you have this first one. So first thing you're going to see me do is I'm going to start putting color rods on clear rods to extend them.
Okay.
Whenever you're putting glass on glass, you can just make a weld to any of the same kind of glass. And as long as you just seal that weld up and make a nice solid connection with it, it'll hold. So the little color pieces I have, they come in a rod that's anywhere from 18 to 26 inches long.
Okay.
After you get it down to about 2 inches, it's really hard to hold it. So you weld it to another rod and keep using it down to help bypass waste.
Wow.
And you're seeing my hands move pretty quick. This video is sped up. So you've got 20 minutes of film here, but you've got 35, 40 minutes of actual working time.
Do you
A
have
lot of glass blowing patience.
Do you have a pattern? I mean, do you have patterns that you go by, or you just think of it as you go, or kind of how do you make your creations?
So I try to come out with an idea of what I want to work on today. Like yesterday, I wanted to make something that you could see that was easy to visually see and understand and explain, and something that I could do that I wouldn't mess up in the process. So it never fails. You always mess up the demo. What I went with was just some simple implosion mushrooms. And those are starting with a single color, which you see these little rods individual, and then I'm welding them out, and then I'm going to get a gather on this here in a minute, and then we're going to do a push implosion. But you can also see as I come back on my marker, I'm going to have to straighten out my welds to make sure they're nice and even. That's another with glass blowing, is you'll spend a lot of time chasing straight.
Now, just for the audience, you mentioned a term that maybe they're not familiar with. Maybe I am a little bit. Did you say a push implosion? Is that what you said?
Yes. So a push implosion is where you'll be taking one color, heating up another color of glass, and inserting it into it until it literally pushes in and it blossoms out the back end. And if you've ever seen a mushroom implosion or a mushroom pendant, that is the implosion part, is the cap of the mushroom. And what you get to see here is that I've picked up the other rod, I'm cleaning it off, and I'm about to heat up a gather on the end of this rod. And as I heat up that gather, I'm going to try to get the shoulders of the gather bigger than the actual mass I'm getting. Yeah, I'm going to zoom in for us.
Interesting.
This is going to give me enough heat mass that I can stick that colored rod dead center of it and cause the implosion, but not enough heat mass that my outside of it is going to move. Besides, let it push out. So when glass is hot to the molten, it's amorphous. It naturally wants to go into a spherical shape or pull into a ball. Anytime you heat glass up liquid, it always pulls into a ball. Whether you're heating it upside down until it pulls enough weight and drops, Prince Rupert, you'll see the little droplets off of that, or this. So what you're seeing is I'm heating up my first color. The clear rod's in my left hand, my color's in my right. I'm building a little heat into it. And here in a minute, I'm going to push it in the middle of that hot mass. And when it hits that bottom of that cold rod, where it goes from hot to cold all within that same rod, it's going to bloom out, right? You can see it, like I kind of push it completely into it and spin it. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to cut the base of that off. And that's go in, heat, pull out, go in and heat.
Oh, wow.
With glass, the metals within this give it the coloration. They interact differently to the heat. So you can't heat every one of them the same. It's going to take a little different heat process to get it in. If you heat that too fast, it will actually boil. It'll make bubbles in the glass where it's actually boiling it like it would water. So you have to heat it just to the point of where it's going to be liquid, but not past the point of where it's actually going to start scuzzing and leaving boiling.
I see. It takes a steady hand, obviously.
That is practice, practice, practice. I'll tell you that.
Wow.
You will develop forearm muscles, no doubt. And it's just really trying to focus that heat on the back end of that piece, so it will push and slide all the way down over it.
Wow.
Here I picked up a secondary color, and I'm going to add to the base of it, so you can see that the coloration. So I'm putting bases onto them, where it's not just a mushroom floating in glass. It's got mushroom floating on a little piece of base coloring. I've got to gather off enough. That's how I make my cuts. If you'll see the hand, or I'll swirl my hand left or right. As you heat it up, you can thin it out. And as you're thinning it out, it'll separate. And then you want to focus the heat just on that little separation point. And just little slot movements will make it pull itself back apart and thin. So as you see my hands moving back and forth, all I'm doing is thinning out that glass until it separates by the pressure of the flame pushing. I use a Carlisle two-stage torch, so when you see that secondary flame kick on, I have a foot pedal below my bench that I kick, and it activates it into the second level. My torch has two. There are so many torches out there. Some have got 3, 4. I mean, they make some really, really impressive torches now.
Yeah, that was my next question. How do you make it flame higher than, like right now? But you just answered that question.
So all of my fire is produced from propane because it's a clean burning source. That's the preferred use of method, or natural gas, which I don't have. A lot of your northeastern houses and northwestern houses that are up in the places where their house is heated and cooled by gas, they'll have gas plumbed into it, and they can just use it straight from their torch. It's a really nifty thing. But down here, I just use propane and I use regular pure oxygen, and you can get that from any of the welding supplies. I've bought a machine that generates my own oxygen, so I've got a system that runs through and it purges out, almost like a osmosis for a water system. It takes in 3 parts air, and then it puts 2 parts in the container and purges a part out for the system. So think of the home oxygen systems for somebody of breathing problems, but a massive scale of it. I've got 6 of the Invacare beds instead of 2 in their little units.
Oh, wow. That is awesome. Wow.
So I've come back in, I've colored it off, I've polished it at the end. You're going to see me in that now. You slowly polish it off. You kind of give it that clean look. You don't want any marks. So if you've touched it at any time with a tool or anything while the glass was soft, it's going to hold that. But if you come back in, heat it back up, it'll go back to its natural amorphous phase, and then it won't have any tool marks left in it.
Oh wow, that was interesting. I'd be afraid to go in your shop because I'd probably ruin every piece of glass you got in there because I have no experience at all of that.
I will show you. I've got a handful of stuff that I call my ugly pendants because they're the pendants that start out. You run out of friends and family to give stuff to, and you're like, I can't do anything with this. So here's a prime example.
Oh, come on, show it to us.
A handful of them, right here.
What'd you call it? Fugly?
Fugly pendants. Yes. So they're what comes out when it doesn't come out.
Hey, Clayton, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, okay?
Well, I'm going to behold these are not a beauties.
Let me put you on full screen so we can see it better. Just a second. Let me just put you up there, and then you can show.
Here is my dark snowman. His face came out a little wonky, so you can see. But here's some of my first attempts at snowmen, and they just didn't have any luck. And here is a marble of your recent.
That wasn't bad. The marble wasn't bad at all.
These are the most disappointing. These are the ones where everything is going right, and then it pops off the back of its punty, and it smashes up onto the floor. So it just gives you a really nice...
No. But you know what? Had you not told me that story, I would have never known. Like, okay, he meant to do that.
I've got to learn just to sell it. That's what I've got to learn.
Well, I'm going to show this one little video you've got. It's the one about the mushroom. So we'll show ladies and gentlemen, this is the finished product. And we got one more video to show. So let's show the finished product here. And I will put his Instagram account back up here momentarily, so you might want to stay tuned for that if you're just tuning in for the show. So let's get this going here. Here we go.
Yeah. That's what the little finished pendants come looking out like. Now, and you can see the kiln.
That's beautiful, Clayton.
And this is what you say you don't know, but this is what I've been calling a flat stone. And what that was a mushroom that I did not get the push right. So instead of just cutting it off and killing it, I've been melting it down, mixing it up, flattening it out, and using them as hangers they work really good for like pulls for fans or lights. So it's just something out of nothing on that one. But it's helped me not let glass go into the trash can that I can reuse into another process.
Recycle, I think's what we call it.
Yes, upcycle is what I like.
Oh, okay. Yeah, upcycle. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Now, I know you've got different designs for different things. You use different glass, different heat, etc. But on average, like say just a simple pendant, whatever, how long does it take? I mean, I'm not talking about just the actual process, but like from beginning to end to get your supplies all lined up the way they want to be, the heat. So how long would it take you like from beginning to end to make like a pendant per se?
So if I wanted to make a turtle pendant, how it usually starts is I come out, like I said, with something in mind that I want to try to make today. And I'm going to make a turtle pendant, but I'm honestly going to make 3 to 5 turtle pendants, but I'm going to try to make each one a little bit better than the last one. And it's working on a continuous improvement. So the first one never fails. It's the longest one. If I could come out and make one in 45 minutes, I'd be really happy. By the end of it, I can probably shave it down to 35, 30 minutes, somewhere around there if I really hit my good flow state. Now, all that being said, I always try to explain to people like glass blowing is probably a lot like playing a guitar. If you knew how to play a guitar and I handed you a guitar and I say, hey, play this song, 5-10 minutes, you could probably learn to play the song. But if you've never played a guitar a day in your life, 5 or 10 minutes isn't going to be enough. So the time process built into it really helps with how your time management is off of it. So it's like anything. The more time you put in it, the more you're going to get out of it in the long run.
That's repetition too, as well.
Most definitely. Muscle memory is your key to this.
I think every household in America, Canada, around the world, they've got blown glass. In fact, we have a comment from the audience. Let's see. Sandra Piper says, I have collected several of the mini figurines and displayed them in my kitchen window. So,
oh, excellent. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
And she even goes into more detail what she's got. She has cats, pumpkins, and ghosts, etc.
Yeah.
Now, Sandra, wouldn't you like a turtle, or a little mushroom? Hint, hint. Hint, hint. Here's a guy right here.
He knows somebody.
Yes, you know somebody for sure. What? Now I got this other video. Now, was that the next video? Was that
that was?
prep,
they were
or?
both of the same. The other one you saw the prep and the me making of that first little mushroom, and the other one, that last video you showed, was of the finished product of the second mushroom I made. They're the same process. I just wanted to make sure we had enough to cover it. But if you wanted to open up, I can go ahead and fire up, and I can do a little live demo of what we're going to do, and do a little actual hollow piece and blown. So I'm going to try to keep it a little condensed, because sometimes it can take a little long, but we don't want to make it run much longer in 25 minutes. So I will get on this.
Wow, it's very interesting. So, wow. Let me ask you, that class that you were in, you said you took a class. I think you might have mentioned this first. How long was the class? You say 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months? How long did it take?
The first little class I went to was just 3 hours.
3 hours? Oh.
Yeah, I showed up at 10 o'clock, and we went till 1 o'clock, and then that was, I made a paperweight. I got to see, they gave you a little shop information of how to do it, through that process, a little safety, and then I actually got to work with glass for about an hour of that process.
Oh, that's good.
The second class I took was a 6-week course, and it was every Tuesday night for 3 hours every night.
Wow.
Every Tuesday night, and I did that for 6 weeks, and that really gave me the love of what it is and what it could be for me. I just had to figure out how to do it at home, and that was the big hurdle to leap.
Okay. All right. Sounds great. So you got something to show us there then?
Yeah. Let me go ahead and put a clip on here real quick, because glass, when it burns, it reduces a sodium flare, which gives it a yellow bright flame.
Okay.
But with the certain kind of glasses, you can take that sodium flare out, so you can actually see what's going on through the flame. And I actually purchased a little clip for this purpose right here exactly.
Okay.
So I'm going to tie this up because I'm sweating.
Yeah. Yeah, protect your hair. Protect your eyes, too.
Those are no joke. And glass will pop when it gets real hot and it's been heated improperly. It just explode. If you've ever seen one do something like that on a Coke bottle.
Oh, absolutely.
It's something, when it pops off, you don't want to have any of that popping out towards you, because it does stick to everything it pops to.
Have you ever had to wear gloves or no?
Yes. So I don't wear physically hand gloves, but I do have a set of armbands that go up to protect. So when you start working with a lot bigger of a piece, you're going to have a lot more radiant heat. And this will give me a little bit of extra protection for that.
That's cool.
Now, I do wear gloves when I'm cutting or breaking or manipulating glass, in the sense of where it could cut me, because this is one of those hobbies. You're going to get cut and you're going to get burned. There's just no way around it. It'll happen.
Call them war wounds.
Yes. You're going to bleed for your passion. I know this.
There's a compliment in there somewhere.
I know. Maybe when you're passionate, that's what you're meant to bleed for.
That's it. While you're setting up, Clayton, I'm going to display your Instagram account again. And ladies and gentlemen, just as a reminder, and those of you that just tuned in, this is Clayton's Instagram account, where you can look at his products and even order. So there it is. Go ahead, Clayton.
Yeah. So start it up. Turn on the flame. I'm setting up my torch settings to make sure that I like it set.
Okay.
I think you can see it pretty good. So this is a piece of hollow tube. This is a 38 by 4, which means it's 38 around 4 millimeters thick wall tubing.
Okay.
I've got it punchied up to a little rod so you can see. This is how it goes. They're welded onto the end. What I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up this end. I'm going to put this punching onto it so I can make it into 2 pieces, and I'm going to cut it in the middle, and then I'm going to blow that piece out so I can make one of those little hanging bells, or like a cup. That'll probably be the easiest thing to do.
Interesting.
And Bob, if I get in and point off and you can't see, let me know, because I
Okay.
can't really see the screen very well. When I get ready to join these 2 pieces of glass, what I'm realistically looking for is that the glass to have the same coloration. Because as I build heat into it, we're going to get to the same temperature.
Okay.
Should be able to weld right together. So, first weld, straight in.
Oh, wow.
Now we're going to come in and we're going to just keep this middle piece. You see me flashing it back and forth. It goes back to that shock factor. Is I don't want to put too much heat into my glass right out the gate because I can cause what they call stress fracture.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to cause the glass to fracture. So the best I can do is heat it up with a slow process and cut it.
Nice.
Right now, the ringer helps me get a nice sharp edge on it. From there, I just focus the heat on where I got it, and it'll separate right out. So here's where the blown comes in. This light puff, just to try to keep that glass from collapsing in on itself. This is down. No, melt this all the way down. Well, that was figured. So we're going to get that tube nice and hot. We're going to even heat it all the way out. Then we're going to blow it out.
Wow, it's looking good so far. It obviously takes a steady hand. Nice.
So from here,
Oh, looks like we lost him. He'll be back momentarily, ladies and gentlemen. So just stay tuned. I hope you're enjoying this show as much as I am, because I have to say I'm completely ignorant when it comes to glass blowing. It's a great design. I've never known what it was like until now, until Clayton came on the show. While he's gone again, he'll be back momentarily. There is his Instagram account, ladies and gentlemen. I've already seen his Instagram account, and it's got a wealth of information there. Maybe I can load it up and kind of just give you an example while we're waiting for him to come back. Let's see if he's back yet, and if he's not, we'll definitely share his Instagram account. So let me hide that. And when you're doing a live show, not much you can do in the meantime. So this is just a sample from his Instagram account. Can y'all see that? Isn't that good? And that's just a mere sample of the things that he's got on his Instagram account. And then, like he said, you can go to his Instagram account, and if you see something you like, you can order it. You can contact him through his Instagram account. So let me display that one more time. Let's see. So there it is. And maybe while we're waiting, I can display his Instagram account. It's called the Glassbird, and that's BYRD, as you see there. Texas Glassblower and Lamp Worker. So let me just kind of slowly show you what he's got on his Instagram account while we're waiting for him to return. Wow. Now that takes talent, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, that's something that I am not good at all. Any art I am not good at, and I respect people that are, because I definitely am not. I can probably not even draw a straight stick figure, but isn't that great? Look at that. Wow. So again, if you see something here you like, if you want to just order something, this is the place to do it on his Instagram account. And he is back, so let's go ahead and bring him back now. We lost you, Clayton.
My phone overheated. I am
no.
no good at this process. I'm telling you, we're gonna have to try this again in 2 months and let me get a better shot at it.
Okay. Hey, before you go on, Clayton, we do have a question from the audience.
Go ahead.
And the Radio Vault's asking, should I put on safety glasses?
Yes,
obviously
most
to do
definitely.
this.
Yes, safety glasses will be one thing, but you'll also want a certain form of glasses that reduce the sodium flares. So they're actually there are certain brand of glasses you can find. Any safety company will have them, but they'll need to be for lamp working. Shade 3, Shade 5 is what I recommend.
Okay. And then he also added a comment for you. Nice shop.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. That's another work in process.
Okay. And then also says his stuff looks great. I showed your Instagram account while we were waiting on you, and I just kind of scrolled
Appreciate
through.
That.
They liked what they saw. So kind of tell us now, when we lost you, I think you were almost done. So kind of just take us through kind of what you did while we were waiting.
So while we were waiting, and this is the unfortunate thing about glass, is sometimes once you're in a process of doing it, you can't stop it because you will get off centered.
Obviously.
And you just have to finish out your movement. So when I dropped, I went ahead and just finished it out. But I'll show you what a finished piece looks like.
Oh,
so
please.
What I've been doing with these is I've been using them as plant propagators, and they work really well for individual ivy. And I like to use these little vessels. But they make a little bowl on the bottom.
Oh, look at that.
You see, you put your plant in the inside, and then it propagates off of your little vessel. So that's what it looks like. But what you didn't get to see me do is finish out the bail on this, and then the hole was popped. That was what I was finishing out at the last second when my camera overheated.
Wow. I guess, never heard of a camera overheating, but I guess then we know now it happens.
I should be, this is the first time I've ever had a live video, because normally it doesn't run like that whenever I'm beside it working. It's just, I'm listening to music. But this is new too. So, yeah, I put out quite a bit of heat when I'm working on this stuff. There's no doubt to that.
Well, let me ask you a personal question about your work. Personally, I know you have all these designs you've made. We looked at your Instagram account just now. But for you personally, what is your personal favorite piece that you have made? Do you have a favorite? A person? I mean, you like them all, I know, but what's your personal one that stands out?
The personal ones that always seem to have the most, I don't know, pizzazz to me are I call them the little implosion or hurricane turtles. And
Yes.
it's the turtle with the design and it has a twist in the middle. And it's mainly more because that pulled from an actual experience of life that created art after. And
Mm-hmm.
that's, you say artist, I don't feel that way. I've never felt that way. I felt like if anything, maybe I'm a craftsman because I can manipulate stuff with tools. I don't know if that makes me an artist, but we had an experience. We stayed down at the coast and it turned from a tropical storm into a little hurricane. And I say little, a hurricane at a level 1 to me is still pretty intimidating. My wife, who grew up in Florida, that's not even a reason to leave the beach.
That's what Hurricane Andrew went through, you know?
She's a pro when it comes to hurricanes, and I am not. But we sat through it, and I got to experience it and see what it was like to sit in the dead zones. And then when I came back, I was making my turtles, and I thought, how cool would it be if I could somehow put that, the look of what the trees look like and the swirl of the storm as it went through. And I fidgeted around until I found a way to do it, and I kind of put it in there. And then it's just been trying to make that look more and more in depth each time that I make one.
Absolutely. I'm asking, do you have certain patterns that you make all the time? What I'm getting at is, say that somebody sees your work on Instagram, and maybe they see something that you've made that they want to buy. Do you do like a custom design that they do so, or do you have only your set patterns that you do right now?
So if it's anything within my realm of capability, I do. You don't see a lot of cremation pendants on that, but I do a bit more work with that. I just don't usually post a lot of it. That's some stuff that comes through. If I'm capable of doing it, I try. And that doesn't mean I'm always successful, but I will try at it. And that's the fun part about most of this.
Absolutely. Now, kind of take us back to the glass that you use. I take it that there's different coarse or different thickness of glass, correct?
So it's the coefficient, which is the density of it, if I can explain it correctly, which I may not be. But glass will come in like a COE of 33, which means it has the coefficient of a 33, and it is pretty as sturdy as you can get. You step below that, and you actually move into quartz. Now, above that, you're going to have a lot of other glass. So like little soft glass figurines you're going to see are like probably a 70 to 90, because they still have a little bit of structure soundness, but they're still soft. And then the bigger stuff you start seeing in like the big studios and the shops, that could be soft glass up to like 104. So my glass takes about 26 to 2800 degrees to get it molten. And that's when it will be just liquid.
Wow.
Soft glass, you can do this at probably 500 to 700 degrees. So you don't need near the energy to get it molten. And now, that being said, when my glass bounces on the ground, it has a much better chance of lasting through it. It's got a much stronger durability to it.
I see. And what's the cost of that? Like when you want to buy supplies, does it depend on the coarseness or the thickness of the glass?
So you're gonna pay more for the density of it. So if you're paying for soft glass, you will be paying a little bit less than you would be if you're paying for hard glass, which is boro or borosilicate.
Oh, sure.
Now that being said, realistically, your coloration of glass you can get fairly cheap if you can just find colors that are lighter colors, in the sense of China has a really good market for some really cheap glass where you can find some stuff that's $4 or $5 a pound, and that you can do a lot of work out of $3 or $4 worth of glass. But in the same instance, it's you can find stuff that's $400 or $500 a pound in coloration.
Oh, wow.
This is a good example. It's like here.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm gonna turn off my light, and you're gonna see my bench glow because I've got a bunch of glow in the dark glass.
Oh man, I bet. Oh wow! Ladies and gentlemen, look at that! Look at that glow in the dark glass. That is awesome.
That comes in multiple forms. They'll come in blue, green, orange. They have glass that's UV reactant, so when you heat it up with or if you hit it with a UV light, it'll turn a whole different set of colors. They've also got some glass now that is a carbon fluorescent light changing. So normal light rooms will change the color from a dark, deep purple to a bright pink. That is what I mean by it can get expensive quick if you've got a real high fine taste in what kind of coloration your glass is. I try
So
to find. Go ahead.
I was saying, the glass. Now you can buy different colors, but is it
Hmm.
possible when you got it under the flame, can you, for lack of a better word, manipulate the color? I mean, make it lighter, make it darker. Does the flame make
Yes.
any difference? Is what I guess I'm asking.
So the flame will do a lot of difference if the coloration has the metals within it. So a color that has something we call striker. So a striking color is something that can come out like this piece right here. So all that you see,
Let me
if
see
you
that real
look at
quick.
that secondary deal, all that little bit of red and that other coloration that's come out, when you look at that under the flame, let me see if I can get the focus. When you look at that underneath the flame, it doesn't even show up red. It'll be completely clear. You have to go through the flame after it's cooled down and reheat it 2 or 3 times to make that red color come
Oh
out.
wow! I didn't
And
know
in that
that.
process, you can make that red color come out clear, or you can hit it some more and you can make it come out to be like an opaque, or you can make it some more and it'll come out almost to like a liver red. So it'll go through a transitions of colors through it. Here's another really good example. This is
Yeah, this is a
a
close up. Okay.
this is a clear rod, but realistically, it's actually ruby red. And you don't know that when you see just the rod unless you're looking at it from a heated end. So it has to go through a heating process, heat and then cool, or it won't show the red of it. And you can see where I've attached it to a punty down here on the base. It's heated up to red on that one. So that's solely based off of the flame striking of the heat and when you're using your torch. You have
Oh,
different settings in the torch. It's
I
an
see.
oxygen flame, a reduction flame, which is more propane, and then a neutral flame, which is an even burn between your oxygen and your propane. That
Interesting.
is, it goes back to I should have paid attention into chemistry.
Well, I asked you earlier kind of what some of your favorite pieces are, but let me ask you this: what would you say of all the designs you've made so far? What do you say, whether glass or design, was the most challenging to make? Would you say? Do you have? Do you can you think of one?
Yes,
What was it?
they're implosions, and then what they're called is they're air trapped implosions. And you take
Mm.
those pencil lead thin stringers that I mentioned earlier, and you make a indention on the back of a piece of glass, and then you dab those little pencil lead stringers, and you're trying to catch an air pocket in between that glass catch and the next one, and in that process, it'll give you little bitty diamonds on the top of your implosions. And I think there's one or two on my Instagram pictures of them, fairly up close, and that's what it takes a very steady hand, and it's taken a lot of practice to get some of those down. And I'll make five, and three of them won't be what I want to see. So,
Oh wow, that is awesome. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to show your Instagram account again, and then
okay.
that way you narrated the videos. But I think you're probably the best one to narrate your Instagram. So let me just show a little piece of it to my audience. I'll let you kind of tell us what we're seeing here.
So those little flat stones on the top left, those are what I was mentioning of something that, like, if it goes wrong, I flatten it out. I turn it into a flat thing that can be used and flown. But it's also really nice in your hands. That piece to the right that looks almost like a jellyfish, that was a cremation pendant from a friend of mine who her her husband's grandmother died, or mother died, and
Oh,
her
sorry to hear
cousin
that.
were their good friends, and they wanted to have something because they always spent time out at the Carolina beaches together. So there's a thing called a button jellyfish that I found on the Texas coast, and it kind of had that resemblance. But
Hmm.
the twist are what I usually make around Christmas. The crate you see are actually bottles. I turn bottles into dragons and incense burners, so you can
Oh
drop your
wow.
incense in and it burns through the bottle and it smokes out the dragon's mouth as it burns.
What's that? That right above where your head is right now. Those little twist things. What are those?
So those are what I used to make for Christmas
Mm-hmm.
for when it comes around time. And what that is that's flat rod. And here's a prime example of that. This stuff is just clear, flat on both sides. You take a coloration of it, you run a stripe down it, and then you twist it up. And as you heat it and twist it, that gives you those nice concentric spiral patterns. And then you just cut off one end and go ahead and attach your bail to the other.
That would be awesome Christmas decoration. Man, that looked really cool. I like those.
Those are really nice. They catch a lot of light because the way they twist through, so they're really good when they catch in light.
That looked really good. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me display his Instagram account again for those of you that missed that are watching this live. Of course, you can always watch the episode later on. But here's his Instagram account. That's the Glassblowing, but that's Byrd, ladies and gentlemen.
The Glassblowing. It is.
And if you think if you were awestruck from watching the show, go on his Instagram account. And you'll see a lot of information. And just for the people that tuned in late, Clayton, can they contact you? No, yes. Contact you, and B, buy stuff from you.
By all means, feel free to reach out through Instagram. That's how I do all my social media. That's how most of that's ran through. And if there's anything that you have in mind that you maybe want to try to be created, reach out to me. The worst I can say is I'm not capable of it, and I don't mind telling you I'm not capable of it. Now, that being said, I do keep in touch with some people who are much more capable than me, so if I can't find a way to do it, there are other people that I might be able to pass your information on to that might be able to help you make your dream fulfill. So feel free at any time to reach through social media. You can direct message me at any time. You find anything on my social media account that you like, send me a message with a screenshot saying I like that one, but I like the swirl, but do you have it in green?
Yeah.
Something along those lines. Is give me a little direction of what you're looking for, and we could try and make something work.
Me personally, what you've shown, everything you've shown tonight was great. For me personally, I love that glow in the dark. I'm really fascinated with that.
It's a lot of fun, but it's like $280 a pound. So I bought
still
some
like
for a special project, and I've just been sitting on some waiting to see what I'm going to do with for the rest of it.
We got a great comment from the audience. Sandra has added, interesting show. Thank you, Clayton. You have an awesome talent, and I agree.
Well, I really, really appreciate that. Thank you very much for that. I'm just trying to. This is what I've kind of fell into a niche of doing, and I really find enjoyment out of it. And there's something to say is when I turn on the torch and I put in my headphones, and then I look up and I'm 4 hours later in my day than what I was doing. It's a really nice feeling. It really is. It's a total. For me, it's a turn off of the world. I can shut the world off, and I can only focus on what's in front of me at the moment, and that really helps.
Absolutely, you're doing an awesome job, Clayton. And I applaud you for your talent. It's really great. And I will be ordering some stuff from you as well. So I'll be contacting you later as well. And
we'll work out some Christmas stuff.
Would love for you to come back on the show again. I'd love to have you there.
We would love to. I would love to do it again. And I think I'm going to do a little side work on seeing what I can do about getting a camera that's better adjusted that won't overheat in the middle of the process. And then we will go from there.
We got through it just fine. I'll have to get me another light. My light's trying to go out up here. So
the good news is you can always find out when you start filming.
When you're doing a live show, you just got to run with it, Bubba.
I get it. I love it.
Well, Clayton, it was great having you on the show, and we wish you the best of luck, and we hope to hear from you soon.
Bob, you take care. Y'all have a great night, and thanks so much for coming into my shop. Y'all have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye. And ladies and gentlemen, that's all going to be for tonight. As I always say, 1 hour goes by way too fast when you have a great guest on. So again, if you have a question for Clayton after the show's over, whether it's days, weeks, months, even years, if you're watching this for the first time, you still have a question for Clayton, you can leave a comment on this video, and I'll make sure that he sees it. And if you liked Clayton and you liked his work and his presentation, might hit that like button too, because I like lights, and I'm sure Clayton would like to know that you've been watching it and liked it too. So that's all from me tonight. But remember, I am on the air every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Central Time and 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, I'll have another interesting guest about another interesting topic. So, well, who's the guest and who's the top? What's the topic? Well, you better hit that subscribe button if you want to find out for sure. So that's all for me tonight. This is Bob Van Buren for the Van Buren Variety Show. Good night, everybody.